afternoon, good evening, or it's 2 a.m. Go to bed already. This is Eagle Eyes on Tech, and I am Eagle Falcon. Bit of a rough start here, even had the wrong windows open, but we're gonna deal. We're gonna deal with it. But anyway, pre-show conversations about Mountain Dew flavors aside, let's get into the nonsense that's been happening this week. So, in news of I cannot believe how fast self-driving cars are moving, we have Google flat out hiring Arizona drivers $20 an hour to drive their self-driving cars. They're already at that phase. Do I even need to read the rest of the headline? Do I need to read the rest of the article? I don't think I do. This is from Mashable. I've also seen it on CNET and just about every other tech outlet there is. But to see that this progress is already this far, it's incredible. Now for starters, let's see if we can actually zoom in on that picture and see what kind of brand of car that is. We can't tell. Now to me, this just brings up the next big question. How long until the lawmakers slap down on this? The technology right now is moving stupid fast. Faster than anyone could possibly predict. Even those who were just crazy optimistic for it. Not even they thought it would move this fast, this quickly. It's crazy. Already about to field test these cars with just random strangers that just have to meet a few little prerequisites, such as being ready to drive for 6 to 8 hours a day in a 2-person team, 5 days a week, while monitoring the car's systems with a constant focus and filling up daily reports. That's not much. That's not much at all. I mean, constant focus, that's just... Anyone who drives has to have a constant focus. If you don't have a constant focus, you're not driving, you're an idiot. I'm not saying that as a guy who drives for a living. I'm saying that as just a human being. So self-driving cars takes another step forward. What was it? Some of the most optimistic reports said 2020 it'd be widespread. Seems like it's going to be even more widespread now. It's going to be even sooner. I'd say at this rate, 2018 would probably be about when they hit the road and can be sold in mass. Now, someone in the chat just brought up an interesting point about whether the car could fill up its own gas or not. Most likely not. But that might actually just put in the return of the full-service gas pump. The car just wirelessly paying while someone just fills up its tank. But who knows? Future's a crazy, crazy place. However, in a world that's much simpler, Google released a keyboard for iOS. That's rather interesting. And the reason it's interesting is just for the fact that, you know, everyone's talking about just like, okay, so Google put out a keyboard for iOS that you can go and just make Google searches directly from the keyboard. And there's all sorts of very cool, neat features about it. But there's one thing that no one else has reported on this that I have to ask, and no one seems to have an answer for it. Why iOS first? That's the more interesting thing to me. Google comes out with a crazy keyboard, and it's dumped on Apple phones first, not their own? That's more fascinating. But in any case, it's fairly basic. It's just, you know, it's a keyboard you can just make Google searches from on your phone. There's a whole lot of other little nifty features. Make the search and then directly from the keyboard just copy and paste the search result into whatever. It's cute little things. But the thing is that the bottom line is that Google went and made a cute little feature and left Android in the dust on it. Now, granted, it's probably not going to take very long for this to hit Android. And maybe I'm overlooking this, and it's just the team that was working on this finished the iOS version first. So they just put it out because it was ready. But this is definitely going to be something I'm going to keep an eye on. Not the keyboard itself. The keyboard's just kind of cute. But I'm curious now if mobile features from Google are going to hit iOS before Android. And if that means that Google's going to decide to pander to the Apple side more than its own. Or does it mean that Google's going to use the iOS side as a beta ground for their own? If it's the latter, that's actually kind of cute. I'm not going to lie. But in news that of Google's going and just making things for other screw it. Google is coming up with an answer to the Amazon Echo. So the Echo is a Bluetooth speaker with a microphone built in it. You know, kind of like this. Except the Echo was always listening. Either for you to, I think it mostly responded to Alexa, or I think you could respond to it as the Echo and ask it questions like you could Siri, Google Now, or Cortana. Google's now getting into that game of the standalone speaker utility. Now, the Echo was kind of cute, and I think, and for the most part, it seemed to me that only the hardcore, I need every single bit of tech in my life, the guys who go out and got smart light bulbs the day they were invented, went and got the Echo. I know no one in the entire area here that owns an Echo. Hell, I don't know anyone across the country that owns an Echo. No one's fessed up to it. Except for, like, one tech guy who does a podcast. He admitted to getting an Echo, but he admits to getting, like, everything that is powered by electricity. So what does Google's Amazon Echo clone mean? Well, for starters, apparently there's enough of demand for this thing, despite everything that I know. The other thing is that I think Google is trying to make Google Now more like Siri, more like Cortana, more like an actual personal assistant, as opposed to just voice search. So I'm willing to bet dollars to donuts that this thing that Google is calling codename Chirp will more than likely be integrated into probably not the next version of Android, but the one after. Like right now they're working on Android N, which I'm not sure which dessert is going to be, is going to start with the letter N. I don't know. What would it be? Like nut bar? I know some people have joked and say Nutella, but that's just stupid. I have a hard time coming up with any desserts that start with an N. I couldn't be any more distracted than I am right now. But there you have it. The Google Chirp is in development. Now, granted, this picture, this is not of the Chirp. This is one of the this says that it's the this is either the Echo Dot or the Amazon Tap, which is just going into the Echo family. It's not Noose. It's not Android Noose. The chat just suggested Noose. It's just, no, it's not. But speaking of services, I bet no one knew Amazon provided. Amazon has a video streaming service they called Prime. It is basically a Netflix competitor. As part of signing up for Amazon Prime, you got the free shipping, and you can also stream videos. My mother actually does this quite frequently, actually. So this just makes me raise an eyebrow when Amazon launches the feature for users to upload their own content to Amazon Prime Video. And then earn royalties for them. Quick, raise your hand if that sounds familiar. All of your hands should be in the air, unless you've been living under a rock. It sounds like YouTube. It sounds exactly like YouTube. Which now makes me wonder, is Amazon ready for the hypersensitive, super aggressive copyright holders to come slamming down on them? It's a mess out there. And you never know when they're going to strike. I don't think Amazon's ready. And I think this is going to be an amazing failure to watch. Now, don't worry about the fact that this source comes from CNBC. I've also gotten it from The Verge, CNET, and just about every other tech site. I mean, it was a press announcement. It's not like this is leaked information or rumors. This is happening, and I'm pretty sure that Amazon is totally not ready for it. I'll be right back. Welcome back, Eagle Eyes on Tech. I'm Eagle Falcon. So the chat also brought up a point without realizing they brought up a point. The chat said, "Oh great, another place for 12-year-olds making Minecraft Let's Plays." I do wonder if Amazon is ready for that flood too, of the massive, underlined, massively overflooded market of people playing video games and trying to make a buck off that. I don't think they are. I'm pretty sure they did this to try and get a hold of some of the shows that end up on YouTube, such as The Know, some of Rooster Teeth's productions, Game Theory, all those sort of things. All the very nice, well-done, pre-produced sort of content. I don't think they want any of the guys like me who just stick a webcam in their face and just talk at the camera for an hour. But enough about that. I want to talk for a moment about Nintendo. What is one of the biggest things right now that is keeping Nintendo alive? You give up? It's the amiibos. Those little figurines with a little NFC chip built in them that lets you take the characters from those statues and put them into the game. The weird in-stock fluctuation of those characters that Nintendo has is just... it's making them a killing. It's probably one of the sole things that's keeping Nintendo alive, because Lord knows the 3DS not being very competitive in the mobile market, and the Wii U just downright being a grave, isn't keeping Nintendo alive. I mean, it's basically just the amiibos and Pokemon. That's it. So why do I bring this up? I bring this up because Disney did something very similar. Disney has had a game out for a while now called Disney Infinity. And it was very, very close to what Nintendo did with the amiibos. They were, you know, Disney characters with NFC chips in them, little statues. You put them on a pedestal. Obviously, it's using NFC at that point, and it brings the character into the game. On top of that, the game Infinity itself was really open-ended, almost to a anyone could create levels, very Mario Maker-esque. In fact, actually no, it was more like Little Big Planet-esque in the amount of customization that was in the game. It was a really cool thing. It just never appealed to someone like me because, you know, I'm not 12. But all in all, it's kind of cute. I got nothing against it. Disney is pulling the plug. Yet a cool concept. One of the coolest that Disney has come up with since, you know, putting Star Wars actually in competent hands. Even though they really did just remake A New Hope, but they at least did it well. But that's beyond the point. The point is that in a model that a competitor has proven works, the cord is just being yanked out. The only way this could be a smart move is if Disney is going to sell the rights to the entire Infinity Project to Nintendo. And instead of just making an amiibo competitor, join into the amiibo environment. That way they could both make tons of money off this. So that happened. What more can you say about it? I mean, really. The whole thing's just... there goes the plug. That's the end of it. Perhaps it shows that something else may happen. It's something to definitely keep an eye on. That's definitely for certain. Though granted, with how many fascinating things are in the world of tech, it's kind of hard to keep your two eyes on everything. But we'll see what happens. Though talk about having a hard time keeping your eyes on things. Facebook. Oh, Facebook. What can you say about Facebook? Well, for those who don't know about this bombshell that dropped earlier this week, and again, I'm pretty sure this falls into the category of you already know this entire story unless you lived under a rock. Or if this story hurts your feelings, you put your fingers in your ear and went la 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 la. That's pretty much the only way you've never heard of this. So what happened is that some documents leaked out of Facebook that showed the way that the most relevant news stories are shown to you is partially done by humans with a left-wing bias. Good show. So, a couple things with this. One, why? Why even go down this route? Why are there even humans involved in picking news stories? For a company that has all the technology in the world to track everything about everyone, why is there a living organism involved in any of this? This shouldn't be that hard. It should be so mind-blowingly simple. Just say, hey, look, this story has a lot of views. Let's put it at the top as the most trending. It's not that hard. The fact that a person is involved in this at all shows that it's intentional. They are intentionally putting stories up higher than others with a left-wing spin. So, part of me wants to believe that this is just a mind-blowingly stupid oversight. That, you know, something wasn't working and just some people had to come in to fill in the gaps. Except that this doesn't seem to be all that uncommon among other sources. Gizmodo earlier this week in this article also admits that they've been doing the same thing, suppressing stories with a right-wing spin and injecting topics that were more towards the left. Now, towards the end of the week, I believe on Friday, Zuckerberg announced that he's going to get to the bottom of this. But now, it doesn't matter. The damage is done. In a world where users want to actually just get just straight news, now know that this is yet another source where it's impossible. And I think more and more people are going to start coming to the same conclusion I have long ago. If you want to find a news article or get news in general that is middle of the road, you need to abandon hope. First, find the news article about a topic from a source that you know is right of center. Read it. Then find the article from a left of center source. Read it. And then make your judgment from there. And before I get a whole bunch of emails who say, oh, go to NBC, go to CNN, just stop being stupid. Stop being stupid for a minute. It doesn't take a genius to figure out where their spin lies. But of course now, this sort of thing has now brought up questions about other systems that are solely electronic, that are just algorithms. Some have even started to accuse Google of doing the same thing Facebook is. I think that it's a retarded accusation. I don't think that's physically possible. It could be true. I could be wrong. The bottom line is that, again, assume there is always a spin. Assume there is always a bias on any article you read. More times than not, it's most likely going to be a left-wing bias. You just got to be aware on that. Never, ever look at only one source and take that as the whole story. Always seek out the other side. Because if you only look up one side of the story, you're going to find out that you are more closed-minded than you think. I'll be right back. We'll move into the more fun stuff afterwards. Welcome back, Eagle Eyes on Tech. I'm Eagle Falcon. I love how, because of the tone I use, that fun has to be put in quotation marks in the chat. But I assure you, this is the fun stuff. At least to me it is. So let me just start off by stating this. If you are contemplating a computer upgrade or you are planning out a build using new parts, drop your plans right now and wait. Just drop them. Just don't do it. Don't do it. You should wait a few months. But why? I want a new graphic card now for this game or that game. Shut up. This is why. The GTX 1080 was just announced last week. It comes out next week. And already the rebates for the old cards, the 900 series, the Maxwells, are coming out. The prices are already dropping in anticipation for the next generation. So now the 900s are becoming old news and now their price is dropping. But that means this is the time to get them. No, shut up. I know I'm going to say shut up a lot here, but trust me on this. Yes, the price is dropping now on Maxwell. And they're going to keep dropping. I've seen this happen countless times as the computer lunatic that I am. Here's how this rolls. First, the rebates come out. Now the graphic cards are $10 to $50 cheaper when you get them new, but you have to do a mail-in rebate. Then the graphic card launches and it sells out right away. Because A, the affluent enthusiast, which I am not one of, go out and buy the newest card, and that only 24 were shipped to every warehouse. So those 24 cards sell out like that. Once those sell out, the price of the old cards go back up. But that means I should go... No, stop. Stop. Shh. Let me finish. 3 weeks later, then, the new cards will go back in stock as factories actually go and manufacture them. And then the other card makers release their versions of them. Stock is then plentiful, and then the rebates go back down to Maxwell. Go back down on the previous generation, I mean. In this case, it's Maxwell. No, so that means I should wait till then. No, shut up. Not yet. What's going to then happen is that AMD, at least in this case it's AMD, last time it was NVIDIA who was last to the race, will then release their graphic cards. And the competitor will always release their cards cheaper than their competitor's newest generation. And it'll be based on performance. So, for example, the GTX 1080 is going to sell for $600. AMD is going to come out with a card that performs close to what the 1080 does and sell it for $500 or $450. Then the 1080 has to come down in price to match the AMD card. And it'll probably be like a couple bucks more expensive. And NVIDIA tends to price theirs higher than AMD because they feel it's worth it. And AMD has done a good job of proving NVIDIA right that the NVIDIA cards are more worth it. I wish AMD would actually get their act together and prove NVIDIA wrong one of these days. But I digress. Once that happens, once the AMD has their competing performance mark up against the NVIDIA one, then another price drop will happen in the previous generations and other such ones, and that is when you go get your new card. So yes, for now, wait, PC gamers. Wait on getting your card. As you probably know by now, there's various brackets. There's the top tier, which is the 1080. There's second top tier, the 1070. And then moving down the rank. And then AMD has one that matches up every time. Once AMD and Nvidia both have their new cards out in each bracket, that's when you should go and look at the entire market in that bracket. And then see if it's worth it. Now, that being said, the wait's probably going to be a little longer this time. And that's because AMD has flat out said that Polaris may not actually be there at Computex. What is Computex? Computex is a PC hardware show. It's a trade show. It's over in like China or something like that. But that's almost irrelevant because the only thing that really matters at Computex is that's pretty much like one of the big attraction points for some of the big makers to release their products. You ever noticed how Intel releases their CPUs? They release their CPUs one of three times. They either release it at the beginning of the year, around CES, around fall, just in time for the Christmas season, or in summer, right smack at the beginning of summer. Why at the beginning of summer? Because of Computex. It's just an attractive point for some of the manufacturers to release their stuff there. And by the sound of it, AMD is not ready with Polaris yet. So it might have to wait a little longer. Now, this could be one of two things. It could either be A, AMD holding back and wanting to make sure they do Polaris right, to make sure that it can, for once, outshine Nvidia. Or, and unfortunately more likely, they screwed up. AMD, unfortunately, has been a company that, let's be honest, they keep screwing up. We're going to release a processor that's going to make Intel shake in their heels. You put out something that underperforms most smartphones. Oh, this is going to run so much cooler than Nvidia's product, and it has double the heat output of Nvidia's Kepler. AMD, come on. I want to root for you, man. Just come on. Stop sucking. Just stop sucking. And Nvidia, you too. You also need to stop sucking. I mean, granted, this article is of a lot less... Well, let me explain this first. First, before I continue, I have to explain what Crossfire and SLI is. In the PC world, you can do what's called Crossfire SLI with your graphic cards. If you have NVIDIA cards, it's called SLI. If you have AMD cards, it's called Crossfire. And that's putting multiple graphic cards into a computer and then connecting them to have them all act as one graphic card. This increases your performance drastically. You get a lot more oomph out of it. Now, granted, it's not a 100% increase every time you add a graphic card. It's more like 90% increase or a 70% increase the more you add. It doesn't scale nearly, it doesn't scale at a full 100%. But you can take some lower end cards, merge them together, and get some very, very impressive pieces of work done. Normally, the higher end NVIDIA cards, you can SLI up to 4 cards. Connect 4 of them together, have them all make one super image, like running Crysis at 200 frames a second at ultra settings. And it'd be more amazing than a movie. The GTX 1080 that just came out is currently restricted to 2 cards. You can only SLI 2. And that's what's the shocking news, because normally the 1080, normally the 80, whatever the first number is, then 80 series card, is you can do the full 4. The fact that it's restricted to 2, first off, makes people wonder why NVIDIA even bothered with these really cool looking SLI bridges. Because normally an SLI bridge just looks like, you know, a piece of silicon like this, just draped over them. Like maybe like this big and it's just there. Just a ribbon cable. But these new ones have the circuitry under an enclosure. And it's really good for a show computer with a window. So I don't know if there's just a software problem with the 1080s being SLI'd that they restricted initially, or what the story is. I suppose in the end time will tell. Or perhaps it's just a bigger push to just bigger GPUs, and that's it. And not having to worry about SLI. And then finally, let's get to this adorable little thing I was just brought attention to. Currently, one of the biggest pushes in technology is what's called the cloud. The cloud is... it's a remote server that you connect to, and it stores basically anything. Documents, pictures, music, whatever. And the term, "it's in the cloud," was born from that. The problem that guys like me have with the cloud is that I trust myself more than I trust the cloud. A hacker could get into a giant cloud, all sorts of data, information is stolen, and my stuff could be with it. Or there's a flood, and all the information is lost in the hard drives. Now, granted, most clouds use multiple sets of redundancy. But still, there are plenty of people out there, like myself, who'd rather try and have their own cloud. And that's where this open source own cloud system comes in. And it's basically just that. you install it on a server or a computer or whatever. In my case, it's probably going to go on a server. You install it, and on any device you want, regardless of what it runs, you can access that server and pull your stuff off of, or upload your stuff to it. Like an external hard drive anywhere, which is basically all the cloud is. Now, granted, I can't do multiple site backups like a lot of other companies can. So, if someone broke into my place and then hit my entire server cabinet with a sledgehammer, you know, it's gone. But still gives a nice amount of control that I know where the stuff is. And the other thing it does, it assures that only I'm looking at it. One of the other things that's really troublesome with a lot of these other cloud services, how do I know that they're not looking at my stuff? Some people that doesn't bother it, it bothers me a bit. It really does. I'm actually curious, what about others? How many other people are kind of bothered by that? That some corporation might be looking at their stuff. Maybe I'm the only one. Maybe I am a dying breed on this. But I think it's cool. And I'm going to be trying this out. Now, well, that's all the time we have for today. Feel free to give me a follow here on Twitter. Subscribe. Or not on Twitter. Give me a follow on Twitter too, whatever. Give me a feel free to subscribe to me on YouTube. Take care, everyone, and rest well. We'll see you next week.